Okay, so to find one of our missing sides, I'm going to set up my proportion. Okay, and then we'll pick something from over here. So let's say side 4, and 4 corresponds to who? Side 2. Okay, pick another side over here. Let's say x, we want to find x. And x corresponds to whom? Square root 3. Okay, so we have a proportion here with a missing side. How do we find it? We cross multiply. So 4 times the square root of 3 equals 2 times x. How do we get 2 off of x? We divide both sides. So these cancel. So we're left with x equals 4 square root 3 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then we have square root 3. Perfect. Okay, so now I know that x, right here, is 2 square root 3. Okay? Oh, no, we're going out of focus. There we go. All right, now, what we have to remember is that this is an equilateral triangle, and that we know that the apothem of an equilateral triangle bisects the bottom. That means if this side is 2 square root 3, then this side is 2 square root 3. And so then if I have this piece and this piece to get the whole, what do? We just add them, right? So 2 square root 3 plus 2 square root 3 is 4 square root 3. So this is now the side of our triangle. From there, you can use your theorems in order to find the area. This unit did give you a couple of different ways that you could find the area of an equilateral triangle. One of them says that the area is the square root of 3 over 4 times side squared. So in this case, our side is 4 square root 3. So I'm just going to write that in place. And instead of writing squared, since squared means multiply by itself, I'm actually going to write this twice, because a lot of times what kids will do is they'll write that little squared up here and just say 4 squared is 16. Oops, I'm done. That's not actually the case. You have to multiply everything in there twice. So I just like to write it out 2 times, okay? All right, so now to work this out, doesn't really matter where you start. If you want to work left to right, you can, or out here multiplying these guys, you can, but just for the sake of it, let's work left to right. So we're going to multiply across the tops. Remember, it's almost as if these guys, since we have denominators, they have a denominator of 1, right? Any whole number is over 1. So across the top, I have square root of 3 times 4 square root 3. Well, we can only multiply the square roots together. So the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 9, right? And what is the square root of 9? 3. So I basically have 4 left over times, now I know 3 because that's the square root of 9. Again, times the 4 square root 3. Okay, so let's just continue that out. Well, 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 4 is 48. And then you just leave that square root 3. Okay, and then on the bottoms, I have 4 times 1 times 1. Well, 4 times 1 times 1 is 4. Okay, so now I have 48 square root 3 over 4, which is 12 square root of 3. And since it's area, that is our units, which are inches squared. Okay, and I do want to point out, if you're not comfortable working the algebra out with this theorem, square root 3 over 4 times side squared, they did give you another one. Remember they had a theorem that they taught in this lesson? I can't remember which one it was, 8-4 maybe? But anyways, it said the area of an equilateral triangle equals half times apothem times perimeter. You could actually also use that theorem in order to answer this, because if we have one side is 4 square root 3, How do you find perimeter? Add up all the sides, right? So 4 plus 4 is 8 plus another 4, that's 12 square root 3. So we know our perimeter is 12 square root 3. To find the apothem actually isn't hard at all. We're not given this A, but we now know with 30, 60, 90 triangles how to find A, right? All we do is set up our proportion. So I do the exact same thing, but instead of using the X in its corresponding side, I would use the A and then its corresponding side. So 4 corresponds to 2, and now the A corresponds to 1. So to solve, we cross multiply. 4 times 1 equals 2 times A. Oh, my papers are moving all around. Hang on. 2 times A. So that's 4 equals 2A divided by 2. So therefore, 2 is A. So we know our apothem is 2 inches. So I can actually just come right back up in here, and 2 inches there times that half. That gives us our area. Okay, so we work this out. Half of 2 is 1, and 1 times 12 is 12, square root of 3. And again, that's still area, so inches squared. So just to make sure, we calculate the area of our triangle twice, 2 different ways. Here we found 12 square root 3, and here we found 12 square root 3. So either of these formulas will do. Obviously, if you're comfortable working out, once you find your side, doing square root 3 over 4 times side squared, then you're good to go. Okay, so that example right here shows you how to do number 3 in your lesson.